Up to you, sir.
Okay, so should I start with stating the date? Today is June 28th, 2026. It's 11:07. We're 7 minutes late to get started, but that's how it is.
On this side of the world, Fred, it's 6:27. Just to make sure. Go ahead.
6:27 in
In the
Utah.
Netherlands. Yeah, in Utah.
On It's 6:27 in the evening. It's 11:07 in the morning here in China.
For half
Um,
of us, on the call right now, it's still yesterday. And for half of us on the call, it's tomorrow.
yes. So for those who say tomorrow never comes, there it is.
Here it is.
So let's get started without further delay. So Manu, how are you feeling today and what is your expected takeaway?
Waking up like a shirt. Um, really, I really think that we are going to start reading some interesting things today. And then I hope to grow and to learn a lot. Um, Lee, how do you feel? What do you expect?
I feel wonderful. I'm getting more and more excited. I have not yet opened the book to read it as yet, but I have been very interested in the readings that have already been done. And I am truly excited to find out more about our living water.
No, we're doing programming universe tonight.
Oh, program. Well, then again, this book is exciting also. I need to find out more about it. It's a lot of math. Steve,
Yeah.
I'll let you take over and tell me how you feel and what would you like to get from today.
Okay. Well, I'm feeling very excited. I have to tell you, I've been bragging to my friends about reading Program of the Universe. Um, uh, Living Waters is, people go, what the hell? But Program in the Universe sounds like, I mean, it's a universal topic. Everybody wants to program the universe. And I told them when I'm done with this book, I will know how to create a molecular quantum computer, because that's what it promised at the beginning, that I'll know how to do that. So I'm looking forward to that very much. Actually, I think I said this on the Wednesday call, but over the weekend I had my Father's Day celebration, and two of my son-in-laws said how they never get to have conversations like this. And I say, yeah, you got to get better friends. So I have really good friends. I'm very excited, and we're going to program the effing universe. So that what could be cooler than that? Fred, how are you feeling? What are you anticipating for tonight? And take us away.
I'm feeling a little bit frustrated that we're late, but that's one of my pet peeves. So I guess I'll have to eat it. And so let's get started and try to learn a little bit something. So we're on page 18, and we start with the development of human language. Steve, would you like to share your book? Or I can share mine if you're not ready for that. Can't hear you, Steve. You're muted. You're muted, Steve.
Okay, so I'm happy to share, and we left off right here on page whatever it is. I think page 7, but I'm not sure. And if you want, I can read, or someone else can read.
I will read, if that's okay with you.
Okay.
We had the development of human language, yes. The development of human language itself 100,000 years ago or more was, to flatter our own species, an information processing revolution of the first rank. The fossil record suggests that the development of language was accompanied and furthered by the relatively rapid evolution of parts of the brain that specialize in language processing. We can think of this as new neural circuitry, together with the accompanying development of the vocal cords, as a naturally evolved technology or mechanism that makes language possible. This additional neural technology is apparently what gave rise to the remarkable universality of human speech, the ability to express in one language more or less what has been said in another. At the very least, language allowed the uniquely human forms of social organization that have made our species so successful thus far. The further back we go, the more momentous the information processing revolutions we uncover. The development of the brain and the central nervous systems was a triumph of natural evolved technology, well suited for the transformation of information from the outside in and for communication between parts of an organism. I'm waiting for the... There we go.
We're getting to the sex part, Fred. It's getting exciting. Keep going.
The development of multicellular organisms in the first place arose from numerous breakthroughs in intra- and intercellular communication. Every successful mutation, every instance of speciation constitutes an advance in information processing. But an even greater revolution, dwarfing what... But for an ever greater revolution, dwarfing all that followed, we turn the clock back 1 billion years to the invention of sex. The original sexual revolution was a tour de force, a huge success that came from what at first glance looked like a bad idea. Why bad? Because it risked losing valuable information. A successful bacterium reproducing asexually passes on its exact genetic makeup, absent the occasional mutation, to its offspring. But if an organism reproduces sexually, its genes are scrambled with those of its mate in order to produce the offspring's gene, a process called recombination. Because each half of this offspring's genes came from a different parent, and because of the scrambling process, no matter how successful either parent's unique combination of genes, the offspring's genome will not be the same as that parent's. Sexual reproduction has never passed on a full winning combination intact. Sex messes with success. So why is sex good? From the point of view of natural selection, it allows for greater genetic variation at the same time as it faithfully reproduces individual genes. Suppose the world were to get hotter, a heretofore successful but asexual bacterium would suddenly find itself in a hostile environment. Its previously well-adapted, almost perfectly identical offspring would now be poorly adapted. Without sex, the only way for bacteria to adapt is through mutation, which is caused by reproductive error or environmental damage. Most mutations are hurtful. They make for even less successful bacteria, though eventually, with luck, a mutation would arise that make for a more heat-resistant bacterium. Asexual adaptation is problematic because the dictate of the world, change or die, runs directly counter to one of the primary dictates of life, maintain the integrity of the genome. In engineering, this type of clash is called a coupled design. two functions of a system clash so that it is not possible to adjust one without negatively affecting the other. In sexual reproduction, by contrast, the inherent scrambling or recombination affords vast scope for change, yet still maintains genetic integrity. I think we should stop there and see if we have something to say.
I'd like to
I
comment.
have something to say.
Go ahead, Manu.
I was drawing, but let's just assume this. Let me just put something here. Then,
While you're getting ready, I'll make a comment. Is that okay, Manu?
yes,
All right.
yes.
I really love hearing this perspective on the evolution of language and consciousness. However, I run the risk of being a lunatic heretic because, and I would like to put it in a book in a way that doesn't alienate me as a weirdo, but I'm absolutely convinced that that matter emerged from consciousness, and that rather than argue that consciousness emerged from matter and we go through this process of genetic modification, then sexuality, and then communication and building languages, I actually believe, and I have no proof for it, and I'm almost embarrassed to say this because I'd like to have a book that shows modern indicators of this, but I actually believe that the universe is conscious and having an experience, that I am the universe and I am the observer and the observed and the actor, and I'm watching myself come to the full measure of my creation. That in fact, AI and all these phenomena that are going on are natural extensions of consciousness, of a conscious universe. So I hope that doesn't sound too crazy, but I just wanted to say that. And I want to say, with all due respect, I'm excited to see where this comes from logically if I were a materialist reductionist. I took a look. This book was written, didn't we decide this was 1988? I think we decided this book was written in 88. That's what my memory serves. And I did a little search here for epigenetics because DNA is one thing, epigenetics is something else. Epigenetics was discovered in 1942 by a British embryologist, or the concept was officially started in 42 with Conrad Waddington. He coined the term to describe how genetics interact with their environment to shape an organism's development. And then so we had 1942 was Waddington. Then in the 1950s to the 1970s, mechanisms were discovered. The foundational biochemical processes behind epigenetics, such as DNA methylation and histone modification, were discovered during this era. And then researchers began understanding how genes are turned off and on without altering the underlying DNA sequence. So it became more and more significant. Then in the 1990s through 2000, there was this modern renaissance, it's called. The field exploded in the 1990s as scientists developed advanced sequencing tools to map the epigenome. In 2008, a Cold Spring Harbor meeting cemented the modern definition: heritable changes in gene function that do not entail a change in DNA sequence. So that, to me, this is important, and I think that that's part of our picture, and I would love to see how that's integrated as it goes, and I'm keeping both of those ideas open and ready to have a conversation about it. And I'm complete, and we can either discuss that or just turn it over to Manu, however we want to do that.
Thank you, Steve. Should we discuss it or should we turn it to Manu?
Anybody want to discuss it? Okay, good. Let's turn it to Manu.
This is my cartoon. Are you okay, Steve? Are you okay?
I'm going to share it now, Manu. We got it.
Not just, there's a second one. There's a second cartoon.
Oh, we have a second one? Okay. Hang on. Push it a little closer. Okay. Oh, good. Okay, I got them both. I'll share them on the
Okay.
screen momentarily.
Yeah, show the first one.
Okay. All right, and here we go. The first one.
Yes.
Hang on, I got to get to the first one. Come on, the first
No,
one.
the first one is not that one.
I know.
The one that has 4.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Here it comes. I got to use my new computer, guys. I'm using my old computer, and I'll use my new computer soon. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Are you seeing it yet?
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
Okay, good. Wonderful.
Okay, one is red, the other one is black. I don't know if it appears, but it doesn't appear very clear. You did it in black and white. But anyway, this is 2, call it individual. What is Lee saying? I can't hear.
What are you saying, Lee? Put it in English. It sounds like
You mute. I cannot hear you. Unmute, Steve.
talk, Lee.
He's not making any
I'm
sound.
saying,
He's,
I am saying that this is a sexual connection between
Just wait.
two.
Just
Wait,
let Okay. Manu
explain it.
Okay. And then the other is not.
okay. There is a link to that.
Ah,
So initially there are 2 individuals, 2. Always remember that are wiggling and dancing in a finite universe. So they are doing this. The other one is doing that. They are taking different positions. Now remember that you are aware only to one phase at a time. Your awareness is you only seeing linearly like this in one direction. So if you are aware in one phase, you continue dancing. So you are dancing, the other guy is also dancing. And you will be in a position where the other guy, I don't know about what the other mechanism coming to you, form a yin and yang. And the 2 of you start then dancing the universal symphony of nature. And the yin and yang start doing that. So that is the creation, the basic programming. And you can represent it by a matrix of 2 and 3, 2 and 3. There's 1 in 4 position where you have what you say, Lee, where you're going to have this. 1 in the other. And that 1 in the other is going to be a new life stuck into it. It is not primary, but this is evolutionary. So that you can call it programming, but it can also be that it happened that things were dancing. Maybe it was programmed from the beginning, and then they come to get in a position. and continue. Now you have a population of 3. And that happened since the frequency of happening of this is higher than the frequency of just dancing alone. So you're going to have 4, and you're going to start having 2 to the power of something, exponentiation of a process. Okay, that was I wanted to share here. Thank you, Steve.
So you're complete, right, Manu? Good. Any discussion? Should we go back to the book?
I think epigenetics is not linked to sexual reproduction.
Is what linked?
Epigenetics is not linked to sexual reproduction. Here, the point is that since sexual reproduction was invented, sexual reproduction is have the genome of the male and have the genome of the female get rearranged together, and then 2 genes form the expression, two of the same alleles, the genes. We need 2 to form the phenotypical, that is what it's going to look like, expression of the genes. This is the essence of this revolution. That is, instead of having a copy-paste of the genome, it's copy-paste, but then we cut half of it in small pieces, the other half of it in small pieces, and then we mix them together. They rearrange themselves, and this is what gives us a new organism. Epigenetics, one of the examples of epigenetics is the transmission of RNA from mitochondria through but it's only the female. It's only from the female in higher order organisms. That's mitochondria is the energetic factory of the cell. It doesn't have DNA. It has RNA to conserve and pass over its genetic material, but it doesn't matter. So the mitochondria, the energetic factory of the cell, is only coming from the female. The male has no influence in that, but that's not part of sexual reproduction. That's asexual reproduction. There's no recombination of any of the genes, any of the RNA in the mitochondria. It's just passed over by the female. So epigenetics has its place. But when we talk about sexual reproduction as one of the information transmission, information communication phenomena, I think it's a little bit not the right place to put it, but that's my opinion. The point here is about sexual reproduction being one of the most astute ways of creating diversity in a population and then enhancing its ability to generally speaking, enhancing its ability to adapt and survive. That's what I wanted to say. Manu, you have your hand up.
One piece that I forgot that I didn't say in there is this one. And you getting back to Becky. You know, when in that dance, once you have a positioning in the quarter like this one, part of information is always hidden. We see the cosine. The cosine is what carry weight. But the remainder is etheric and is hidden in a sign. So you could argue that the offspring, what you experience physically, will be identical. That is, there will be a kit that appear to have the same material, but the metaphysical part of it is hugely different. Because I will argue that in what you call, Bucky call tantamount to physical. If Steve have his concentric circle, you will see that. There is part of between the metaphysical and the physical that is almost there. And then you can say, my offspring is like me, but is generally smarter than me. I don't know if you see what I'm inferring here. Is smarter than me. There is more and more information that is way less, that is attached to that node of a universe as universe evolve. The physical part will still wiggle and do all the patterns that characterize me, but it will be carrying that information and processing it. And I think that it is another way of explaining what we've been doing in terms of evolution. I'm through. Thank you.
Thank you, Manu. Steve.
Yeah. I'm looking, am I muted? I'm talking. I'm looking for a quick reference to Bucky here, and I want to just point out, because Fred, I do believe you're making the point and stressing the point of the book, and that is that sex is a most astute way to enhance ability to adapt, because a being over here can only do so much genetic shifting, and so if I get another being over here that's doing genetic shifting, and I splice them together, I have created a much more astute opportunity for adapting and growing. And I think that's absolutely true, and I don't want to take anything away from that. What I'm looking for is that Bucky has, is it going to open up here? Okay, it's going to open up. I want to come back. I wish, and I'm trying to find something here. Let's see if I can find it as it goes.
Can I reply to Manu about his offspring being
Oh,
smarter than him?
please do. Let's
And
do that.
while you're looking for your document.
Okay.
Manu, your offspring is not smarter than you. Not because nobody can be smarter than you, although this is quite difficult to be, but because it's not how it works. The offspring of a population will be more adapted to survive in order to reproduce on average, because the individuals in the said population that will reproduce are the ones that are more adapted to reproduce. Smartness is not usually recognized as a particular good trait for adaptation to reproduction. It could be, but it's usually not put forth as that. So you can only talk about the population. You can say that your offspring will inherit your intelligence, but they will not be more intelligent than you. They will be more intelligent than the rest of the population if we assume that intelligence is one of the traits that gives you a reproductive advantage. So if we assume that and you reproduce, then you will weight in the whole population. You will give the whole population more bias towards more intelligence. And if this is a trait that facilitates reproduction, then the whole population will become more intelligent. will become more intelligent as a result. You understand my point here? Because your offspring cannot be more smarter than you if we take away mutations. If we take away mutation, the fact that you reproduce with your wife and both of you are very intelligent will probably make your kids very intelligent, but not necessarily more intelligent than you. What will happen is that as you get smarter, as us, if we understand that being more intelligent gives you more ability to reproduce, then you will have more offspring. And then that will push the whole population towards being more intelligent.
Yeah, I agree with you, Fred. I wasn't talking about individual intelligence. Remember that intelligence is always defined in an environment. There's a boundary, it's finite. And the intelligence is basically the capacity or the recall capacity of, of a population that manifests in an individual. I'm saying today, with my phone, I can instantly communicate with you. Whatever who was 100 years ago, Einstein, I'm smarter than Einstein today.
Yeah, but it's okay, but that's environmental consideration, not at all with your individual.
Yeah, but to me, intelligence is only valid in a framework of an environment that is defined by the boundary.
Yeah, but we're talking about sexual transmission of characters and traits. So you have to be very careful with the words you're using. You cannot put this all together. You have to make the distinction. Okay, well, I think we agree on that. Steve, please go ahead.
And I think that while we're agreeing on that, I think I agree with what Manu said and what you're saying to agree with him. And I think epigenetics has a factor because epigenetics has been proven to be affected by the choices that a human being makes in the process. So if I sit on the couch a lot, I develop certain attributes. Certain genes are turned on and certain genes are turned off. If I start to compete in highly extreme sports, my behavior changes and my body changes to adapt to my behavior. And so epigenetics can affect my state. So when I sexually unite with somebody who's also made choices, that the epigenetics are going to affect what's turned on and what's turned off. And when that union occurs, it has the potential for raising the base. So yeah, okay, good. So we're all kind of saying the same thing.
This is very controversial. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it's far from generally accepted.
Okay. Well, I guess it's a circle that we're traveling in. So, because
I'm sorry, Steve, I see you're disappointed. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that if we take the generally accepted state of the knowledge,
right,
epigenetics is the fact that your activity can influence the genes you pass on is still very controversial. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying
okay,
it probably requires a lot more than what we have now.
okay. And
What? Okay.
no, go ahead, Manu.
I was just going to say, I'm really sentimentally attracted to the epigenetics as that information that is carried, with evolution that we know grows, but we cannot quantify. It is, there are things that happen that is hidden, that materializes in genes. There is information that goes on. That is, it can be in the form of belief, it can be in the form of whatever, that my ancestor thought a certain way, thinking, not material. And that evolved, and that influences me. And I think that that's what Becky is talking, when Becky talks, is talking about the tantamount, I don't know what word, tantazingly, 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 uh,
Tantalizingly relevant.
tantalizingly.
Tantalizingly relevant and tantalizingly irrelevant. Yeah.
Yes. So it is there. The tantalizing relevant grows. We don't have it until there is technology to mine it. But that tantalizing grows. And that's what I call evolution. And that's what influenced
So,
directly. I mean that like in the 70s, we went into the in vitro reproduction. We can't say that it was an invention. It is something that evolved. It was in the background, in the back burner.
unless you can measure it, separate it from environmental considerations like culture, education, parental, family background, and all that, you have no way of saying it's evolution. It's not evolution unless you can make the difference between what you see and feel attracted to as being epigenetic and the background of influence, social influences, and all that. This is what makes it so difficult. It's because before you can say it's part of evolution, you have to demonstrate it's separate from what the environment does, and you have to quantify it, which is very difficult to do. And the jury is still out on that. There are some epigenetics phenomena, but saying that there are some biological mechanisms to transmit culture and to transmit belief, and we're far from knowing that. A lot of new age thinking says that, but that doesn't make it true. You have to first prove it, and it's far from there.
I agree with you, but the word epi is where everybody takes refuge. Epi is before.
AP is over, isn't it?
Yes, that is over it. You know, if we are in a
AP,
spherical thing.
AP actually means around.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Epi
But
is
we
the
we're
external
thinking
layer.
spherical.
Like this is the epidermis on the physical body. That's the stuff that surrounds the body.
Over and upon, that's what it
Yeah.
means.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think we all agree. And what Fred's kind of arguing from the, if I may say, Fred, you're arguing kind of the point of the view of this book, like what can we scientifically prove? But of course, when Einstein came up with his theory of relativity, it was just an idea and they had to go about and prove it. This whole concept of epigenetics is just another idea, and people are going about proving it. And I think I've looked at some pretty cool stuff, and there are new investigations. I can't remember the guy's name, Michael, somebody who's doing stuff about plant intelligence. There, intelligence is a lot more complicated than we can prove that it is, and we're still doing research. So I think we're just holding those ideas out, and I think, Fred, you're defending the position of the book, which is perfect. This is the circles of irrelevancies that Manu was talking about um, from Bucky. And I took some of those circles and modified them slightly and put some coloration around them. Here are the tantalizingly, I think this one over here, tantalizingly almost relevant. And down here is tantalizing almost relevant. That's that orange circle there. And then over here is, he just called it almost, because it's almost in awareness. This is lucidly relevant, almost relevant. Bucky was not notorious for being consistent on any of his diagrams or language. This is another one, the twilight zone of almost relevant, as opposed to the twilight zone of almost relevant here. This is micro, too small to be relevant. This is macro, too big to be relevant. And this is conceptually definite, which is kind of a fun way Bucky liked to use words, definite. And tunably synchronous approximate simultaneity. And so these were this idea of the circles of relevancy. And I did some work on it. I colorated it and was trying to make sense out of them when I put those things together. What I wanted to refer to, and this comes back to my premise that I am the universe is me evolving, that I am evolution of the universe. That seems to be, in my position, similar to Bucky's whole idea of cosmic hierarchies. In Synergetics 1056.10, he talked about what is comprehensively embracing generalizations and comprehensively embracing and permeating generalizations of generalizations. So he goes through and talks about this, and he sets up a structure, a hierarchy over here. Let me see if I can get this. Oh, good. And then let's see if I can get it to move. Yeah, I did. All right, good. Because here he starts his hierarchies. This is cosmic integrity, which the buckyball was being used for that idea. And then synergy, nature, unknown, and a universe, which is what is known. And then metaphysical, physical. And he goes down through these comprehensively permeating and these comprehensivist ideas down through, and finally ends up with me, humanity, philosophy, nations, others, we, you, they, and finally me. And when he hits me, he hits 18 of them. And the thing to me that's interesting, I've never thought of me in all these ways, and I don't actually agree with all these categories, but what I do agree with is that he's at least contemplating what my attributes are as a human being. And he has 18 attributes. I've got it down to 5 or 7 I feel are manageable. And I think that if somebody's looking at themselves and wants to look at in terms of these 18, I think that's wonderful. The thing that I want to point out here is that when Bucky talks about cosmic integrity, he has a buckyball over here for everything, and he has the symbol for me right there with cosmic integrity. And of course, this is the star. This is the star of consciousness in the blip. So I don't know. There's cosmic integrity. It's me, and it's the universe. It's above the universe. It's above nature. It's above universe. It's known and unknown, and that is me. It's all of me. So anyway, those are my ideas, and I'm not disagreeing. I'm just throwing out another point of view. I think that the issue is, like I said at the beginning, I'm hopelessly a believer that matter evolved from consciousness, not consciousness from matter. And so that will just be, I'm going to hold that off because I really want to learn what's in this book, and I don't want to distract too much from it. And I'm fairly complete and happy to go back to the book or open for discussion. Are there any hands up or anything, Fred? I can't see that.
Manu has his hand up.
Okay.
I was just going to share that I'm at peace with it. Okay, I'm at peace with it. I'm at peace because of the IVM. The micro permeates the macro. It's not two separate things. The whole thing that we see is always a weave. Meaning that I am the center of universe. That's what it means. It's a matrix with nodes. And nodes sharing and always sharing all the information are different sensitivities that depend on the cleavage, or you call it boundary, around that node or those nodes. That's why that cleavage, which we define an inside and an outside, an inside of which we call universe, is always evolving. And it will always evolve. Because by the fact that we are in it, we are perceptive. There's a part that we see and a part that we don't see. We are conscious and unconscious. Call it what you want, it's always doing this, making a dance. That it can do it fast or it can do it very slowly. You see my movie? You see my hand? Or even like this and like that, like this and like that, like this and like that. It's always doing that within a sphere. That's what I wanted to share, and I'm at peace with it. Thank
Cool.
you.
I wanted to just mention that we're going to be very careful with the ideas we put forth. It's not because we are attracted by an idea that it makes it true, and it can lead to very, very bad decisions made at the population level or at species level. For instance, the heredity of intelligence, it's called eugenicism. This has led to very, very bad political trends in the past century, in 1930 Germany, for instance. And you have to be very careful with the fact that we think an idea is a good idea. I mean, we feel attracted to an idea because we believe there is a mechanism behind it that would make it true and all that. It can be very dangerous for everybody. For instance, and in the same way, following the 1930-40 experiment in Germany, there was no money at all for 50 years to study anything that would be labeled eugenicism. Eugenicism is the fact that intelligence could be transmissible. Until the moment that sometime in the 70s or 80s, they had, and after they had in vitro fertilization of human eggs, they had a trend which was called at the time, as I remember, baby nubbles, nubble babies, where they would take the eggs of Nobel Prize scientist, female, and the sperm of a Nobel Prize scientist male and try to make babies that would be more intelligent than anybody else. That did not work. I know I'm not saying it proves that it doesn't work, but that experiment did not work. And I think it shut down every openly said eugenicism experiments for a long time to come. Please, Steve, go ahead. I just wanted to say that.
Well, that's good. I just want to say, I want to share that I really think that, and the point I think that this book is making is profound here, and that is this paragraph that you completed reading. But the idea that asexual adaptation is problematic because of the dictate of the world, change or die, runs directly counter to one of the primary dictates of life: maintain the integrity of the genome. In engineering, this type of clash is called coupled design. Two functions of a system clash, so there is not possible to adjust one without negatively affecting the other. In sexual reproduction, by contrast, the inherent scrambling or recombination affords a vast scope of change, yet still maintains genetic integrity. And I think that's the main point. And I don't want anything I say to take away from that, because I like that point. Okay, so I'm complete with that.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm going to lower my hand.
And thank you for saying that, because it takes us back to the essence of the book.
Exactly. And I think I don't want to compromise the essence of the book. And I'm trying to find a way to lower my hand, and I can't do it. If you want to lower my hand, oh, I guess I didn't make you co-person yet. I'm going to make you co-person so you can lower my hand.
I think if you wait long enough, while not
After
speaking.
4 seconds, it'll drop by itself.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I'm making you a co-host. Okay?
Thank you.
You betcha.
Thank you.
And we're ready to continue reading, I do think.
Now I have the power.
Yeah, that's right.
Consider a small town. We start reading again. Just that paragraph there. Consider a small town with 1,000 inhabitants. Count up all the possible mating combinations, and then the number of possible ways that genes can be scrambled up and recombined in their kids. The result, the town is a genetic powerhouse capable of generating as much diversity as billions of bacteria. This diversity is good. If an epidemic hits the town, there are likely to be survivors. who will then pass on their resistant genes to their children. Moreover, the capacity for diversity that sex conveys now comes without damage to the genome. By separating the function of adaptation from the function of maintaining the integrity of individual genes, sex allows much greater diversity while still keeping genes whole. Sex is not only fun, it is good engineering practice. Manu, any engineer's opinion about that? Moving even farther back in time, we come to the grandmother of all information processing revolutions, life itself. About 1/3 of the way back to the beginning of the universe, life began on Earth. And the universe is said to be 12 billion years, so back to 1/3 is 4 billion years ago. When or whether it happened elsewhere is not known on Earth. Living organisms possess genes sequence of atoms in molecules such as DNA that encode information. The amount of information in a gene can be measured. The human genome possesses some 6 billion bits of information. Organisms pass their genetic information on to their offspring, sometimes in a mutated form. The organisms that are good at passing on genetic information are by definition successful. The organisms that fail to pass on their genes die out. Genetic information that conveys a reproductive advantage to its host tend to persist over generations, even as the organisms that carry it are born, reproduce, and die. As it is passed down, genetic information is transmitted through natural selection. Genes and the mechanisms for copying and reproducing them are the key information processing technology of life. Not surprisingly, the sum total of all genetic information processing performed by living organisms dwarfs the information processing performed by man-made computers and should continue to do so for quite some time. Surely, life is the big one. What revolution could top the origins of life in sheer power and beauty? But there was indeed an earlier information processing revolution, one whose consequences encompass everything. The original information processor is the universe itself. Every atom, every elementary particle registers information. Every collision between atoms, every dynamic change in the universe, no matter how small, processes that information in a systematic fashion. This computational capacity of the universe underlies all subsequent information processing revolutions. Once a physical system possesses the ability to process information at a rudimentary level, performing simple operations on a few bits at a time, arbitrarily complicated forms of information processing can be built up from these basic operations. The laws of physics allow simple information processing at the quantum mechanical level. One particle, one bit, one bump, one up. Up being short for operation and being also the jargon for estimating computer capacity, how many ups per second. It's like a sort of an informal unit. The complex forms of information processing we see around us, life, reproduction, language, society, video games, are all built up from simple operations governed by the laws of physics and performed on a few quantum bits at a time. Every information processing revolution is associated with a new technology. The computer, the book, the brain, DNA. These technologies allow information to be registered and processed according to a set of rules. What is the technology associated with the Big Bang's information processing? What machine processes information in the computational universe. To see this universal information processing technology in action, one need only open one's eye and look around. The machine performing the universal computation is the universe itself.
My,
And
my.
I think that's a good place to stop for the moment and discuss this.
Yeah, and we'll begin chapter 2.
Okay,
Steve has
can I
his
go
hand.
on?
Steve has his hand up first.
No, it was me.
That
Okay,
was you.
what?
Okay,
My
no,
hand
no.
didn't lower. I'm done.
Okay, so Steve had his hand remaining up. Manu, please go ahead.
Okay, my hands, maybe I have to change the color to put green so that you can see.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yes.
I'm using Steve's suggestion that what comes on top left is the first hand that was up, and Steve was on top left on my screen, so that's a reason.
Yeah.
But please go
Okay.
ahead. Please go ahead, Manu.
Okay, I have an experience. Actually, it's been going on for a month. You know a tweeter? The bird. Quick, 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 tweet, 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 tweet. The little bird. They might be pretty aggressive. And I have two experiences. A year ago, a Twitter mail came against me. And really, really against me, chasing me away. But that is less relevant to what I'm going to say. So I'm currently doing a development. And then there was a broken mirror that was like on the wall. And we saw literally for a day a male Twitter fighting against itself. Coming like this, hit it. You see, it's very light. Come back. And then to spare its life, we took the glass away. And then my friend has a BMW X3. And then when he's coming to work, he parks on the road. And the rear mirror, outside one, the same Twitter is on it. Because he parked near the hedge where I think the females are nesting. My point being that the Twitter is aware, but not conscious of the environment. Sees in one direction, one blocking, and sees it and interprets it as a competitor male coming against him to take over the females. That's why it's always coming like this. Now take a baby, you put in the same environment. The baby will see himself in the thing, come and do this, and explore around. And the baby will be able to distinguish between the door, over time, the wall, and basically its environment. If a baby is doing that, it is conscious. The source is always there. The source is what exists, is the universal music. Now, con means I'm with, I concur that you are there. So a baby will concur with nature, with universe, that what he sees in the mirror is not somebody else. After a while, that it is himself, it's just an image of himself. By doing that, the baby will have concluded that there is a metaphysical. I repeat, by behaving like that, the baby will have taken a dimension that is higher than that of a Twitter. and said, hey, there is something else. Take a turn, basically. So experience a higher dimension. Remember, higher dimensions, they exist without you knowing, because universe is always expanding, and to expand, it has to curb. And to curb, it has always to create a higher dimension. It becomes a polyhedron of a higher dimension. Up to the, I see Fred frowning. Okay, but you are free to attack that. I'm saying that the universe.
I don't need to attack it. I think you overextended. You overextended yourself.
So my idea is that since it's always expanding and contracting, when they expand and contract, the articulations is like this. It's like your knee closes, open, and then like this. This is more complicated, is more expanded than this. So there is intuitively the notion that higher dimension, because it's finite, in order to encompass more volume, has to unfold and become bigger. Concurrently, not concurrently, in the same way, in order to contract, it has to fold. That is, it has to becoming smaller. So my idea is that if you look at intelligence in evolution itself, that's the way it went. It is only and always will be pattern recognition and repeated pattern forming from metaphysical, because that's just information that's going around and repeating, and our experience of it become physical, because as it repeats many, many times, and then our intelligence, the pulsation of our intelligence, let's say, is in a second. But if you repeat in a nanosecond, we're going to see a thickness like this. That's our whole. Because it's going to fall, and we're just going to see that. That's how matter actually forms. And we saw that concept earlier. I think it was in this book, in the introduction, that says that what we experience as matter is actually only layers of information or pattern of information that are coming, one like polymers. In plastic, in the polymers, you put them together and they thicken like that to make another form. So that was my point. Okay, it is in there, but if we really want to be real scientists, we cannot afford to enclose ourselves in a finite definition and not take risk. We have to take risk. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
Cool.
Manu. Thank you, Manu. I see there's a discussion in the chat about dimensions, and I will not discuss social dimensions because this is arbitrary and infinite possibilities to drown the fish in their own waters. But if we're talking about how to measure the number of dimensions of a system, I'm talking about physical dimensions, then there is a way to do this. It's very clearly defined. And we could, actually, I suggested we did that and then I forgot. We could spend one session to explain what dimension is, like in 1, 2, 3 dimensions, 4 more dimensions, and even how to estimate the dimensionality of a fractal, because fractals have decimal dimensions, 2.75 to 3.86, etc. dimensions. And this is all very clearly defined. When I say clearly defined, mathematically defined, and we're able to measure that. That's a suggestion that we could do that at some moment.
I like it.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Anybody else? I have something to say there. If we go back one page, you don't need to do it. I'm going to read it, Steve. Page 21, if you're going to share. At the
Page
bottom.
21.
Yeah, it's okay. Just up a little bit. That's page 22. Up a little bit.
Are we going to page 21?
Yes, please, the bottom last paragraph.
Okay, good.
Then we got it there. That's it.
Whoop. Hang on. I hit it too many times.
It says,
I'm
with a
sorry.
lag time, I still had it on my screen.
I know it. I thought I was hitting the line button and I was hitting the page button and I blew it up. Okay, here we go. 21. There we go.
Down, please. Surely life is a big one. Yeah, okay, this computational capacity, that paragraph.
All right.
This computational capacity of the universe underlies all subsequent information processing revolutions. Once a physical system possesses the ability to process information at a rudimentary level, that is, performing simple operations on a few bits at a time, more complicated forms of calculations, information processes can be built from this basic stuff. I think this is very, very important, and this should probably be put in yellow, but I can't do this on that document. The key word here is performing simple operations on a few bits at a time. Performing simple operations on a few bits at a time. And he's talking about the universe.
Yeah.
Universe is performing simple operations on a few bits at a time. And this is exactly like every single computer that we have made, every single example that was taken, like transmitting information through sex or through copy pasting, like bacteria does. It's always performing simple operations on a few bits at a time. From there, we can build larger systems, more complicated things. And this is exactly what our CPU, central processing units, are doing. They process one bit at a time or a few bits at a time. That is, it is always local. Calculations, computation is always local. It's always micro to macro, and it's always emergent. That is, you use very simple elementary calculations and build more of those together in order to get more elaborate systems. So the question there is, how about Bucky's saying always start with the universe? Because those calculations never start with the universe. They start locally with a little bit at a time. And here he's saying the whole universe constructs itself locally a little bit at a time. A little bit when a little bits, units of information at a time, which is very interesting. This also requires two things. It requires conservation laws, conservation of energy, conservation of momentum and all that, because you cannot, in such a situation, you cannot have a universe where the same phenomena results in different results on Monday and on Tuesday, or in India and in the US. It has to be operating in the same way everywhere and at every time. And that means conservation laws. And that's linked to the paragraph I commented on Wednesday about living waters, where the assertion was that conservation laws were not necessary. I think they are absolutely necessary. Anyway, it's that's my comment. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay, and I'd
Manu,
like to say
yeah,
relative to that, to me, what you're saying is totally consistent with Stephen Wolfram and his whole idea of his Ruliad, and he talks about Rule 32, goes back to, I think it's John Conway with his automata, his game of life is automata. Simple little on, off, on, off, on, off, and amazing things happen from these little simple calculations. I think what I'm going to do is look for one of those videos and throw it out here because I think that video shows exactly what this is saying. Little simple bits at a time, arbitrarily, arbitrary complicated forms of information come out of these little basic operations. Very profound. This is not trivial. This is the essence of, I think, what this book is about. And I'm complete with that. And
I
Manu
agree
has
with
his
you.
hand up.
I agree with you. We could also do a session of on Stephen Wolfram.
Yes.
We could do a session. We could have demonstration and show stuff, and where he takes very simple rules and develops extremely intricate and complicated patterns.
Right on.
Manu, go ahead, please.
Good.
Okay, I come back to, can you hear me? Okay. I come back
Yeah.
to Fred. Fred used 3 words. Micro to macro, and at the nick of time. Think about
Nick
it
of
and
time.
link it in. At the nick of time, yes. What was his word exactly? But to me, like something like that. Okay. But it was something like that. So what I get here is that let's get at the concept, at the practical way that that is me, inside of universe, operate. Me always have a boundary. The 18 me that was it 18 or 12? That Steve mentioned, that Boki said. Always have the notion of boundary. That is a permissive and control boundary. That's what it is. Remember that it always has to be perceptive. There is always duality at play. So there's a boundary. And the micro to the macro, that also Fred said, it is the idea of self-consciousness. I'm a pixel in a tapestry, in a canvas of universe. And that pixel want to grow. And it encompasses all the ideas of what we call evolution. We want to grow. We want to know who we are, why we are, and where we are. And how can we change it to maintain ourselves, to maintain the condition if we're happy about it, to maintain our homo form pattern. The third point is that it will always happen at the nick of time. Because if we want to conserve, let's just say conserve a form, I jump here from conserving energy to conserve a form, because there is a certain pattern of a polyhedron that creates a form. I repeat, there is a certain pattern of a polyhedron. I always make the analogy of that. On the edges, you have electrical current, and through the windows, you have the magnetic. And those imbalance define the form, and it validates the definition of the boundaries I was talking about. So we want to conserve that form. So we're spending some way, we're behaving some way inside in a way that maintains that balance, even though we are evolving, we are expanding. And the change, that is a change of a form, which we call the boundary of our universe, will always come at a nick of time. Because we have that conflicting comfort of preservation and the expanding, I will call it need to know where we are. So the more you are given, as in the Bible, the better skills that you are required to be custodian of it. The more you are given, the better skills, the more complex you must handle. And you handling that to maintain that expanded equilibrium, well, there's always going to be test. Remember that the counterintuitive of expansion and less stable. A lot of people don't know that. That the more energy that you have, the higher it takes to maintain. So it translates in the feeling inside as in the stability thing, representing the highest stability with a minimum energy and the low stability with maximum energy. That's why the icosahedron is less stable than the tetrahedron. Because the visible energy of a tetrahedron is the minimum that we can have, that is enclosed and that is stable. So we always have that dynamic. And I am really grateful to Fred to have used those three terms and trigger in me this sharing, this risk that I'm taking. It is a risk. And I repeat, if you really want to be a scientist, you have to take risk. We cannot do new things with old. You have to coin definition. That means you have to expose yourself and see if you stand the test of the challenges to the ideas, to the risks that you are taking. That was my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Manu. Okay, I just wanted to share my Stephen Wolfram book, A New Kind of Science. Just so you know I have it.
Beautiful.
I say I don't have it, and Fred, you are showing off. So what do I do? Now, your penalty is to have one
You
and send it
can,
to me.
okay, you know
Your
what you can
penalty
do?
is to get one and send it to me. We agree? Is democratic.
Okay, you know what we can do that. The book is available online for free. Of course,
Okay.
it's of course it's
There you
not,
are smarter. You are smarter
no,
than
so
me. You
of
can
course
make a
it's not
PDF and send it to me.
of course it's not a printed edition, but it's fully available online. It's searchable, unlike the printed edition, which is not searchable. So the online, I think it's a website and a PDF that you can download, so you can have it. So you can have it. So the whole book is available for free online. The book itself,
You are too intelligent for me, Fred.
the book itself, I bought it in maybe 2015 something. There's no price. See, it cost $50
What's the name of
US.
it?
The name of the book?
Yeah.
A new kind of science.
A New Kind of Science from Stephen Wolfram. It costs $50. You would not be the first one I sent a copy of to. I sent a copy of A New Kind of Science to Wayne before he went on his forced holidays to Colorado. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he took it to read over there. Instead, he took some new age nonsense, and then he came back with it, and that's why we're here now. But Steve, can you imagine that Wayne took The New Kind of Science by Stephen Wolfram in Colorado and studied it for 5 years? The whole of humanity would be way ahead of what we are now.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he even remembered I sent this to him because this happened at the moment this happened at the moment mind was on other sort of problems to solve.
Wow, Fred, I think I found the book online. It's called A New Kind of Science, A Way of Being. Is that the subtitle for your book?
No, there's no subtitle to my book. It's a new kind of science.
Hmm.
The color scheme is this.
Yeah, yeah, the black and white. I'm seeing a PDF right now. Is chapter 1 the foundations for a new kind of science, an outline of
Yes,
basic ideas? I've got the PDF file right here.
foundation for new kind of science. That's a brick. It's my edition has 1,200 pages.
Wow. I think I've got it here. Let me see if it's gonna, yeah, it's gonna allow me to download it. I don't even have to sign in.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I
a
think
full
that
brick. If
Stephen
you send,
Wolfram is
you can
Cool.
send.
I'm gonna put the link in the chat here.
Yes, that's what I wanted to suggest. So Manu can have it without searching.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that Stephen Wolfram is very how very inspiring, because if you really want to put your ideas out at a time when no publisher will want it, you really have to have your means to create ways, your own currency to put it out.
Wolfram, he's got the means. He's, I think he's MIT or MIT Stanford, both.
I think he did.
And he has Mathematica, which is the mathematics software that you can use to program simulation and stuff like this, which is on sale. It's not cheap program, but it's really good. He has Mathematica. He has also contracts with defense manufacturers in the US for simulations, for mathematics software, stuff like this. Yeah, he's done well for himself, I would say.
Yeah. I'm just saying that if it depended on the salary of an academic, as we see, all of these PhDs that are in academics, he wouldn't go anywhere. He was capable because I read that nobody wanted to publish his book.
Yes,
And
probably
yeah,
that's
it's the same thing for Kiyosaki. Nobody wanted to publish Rich Dad Poor Dad.
yeah. So you know what Kiyosaki did? He went to multi-level marketing people and they did it. And then after that, he promoted multi-level marketing to everybody. I think that's where he sold his soul.
Yes.
That was a
Yeah.
Faustian, that was a
My
Faustian
point,
agreement.
yeah, my point is that you cannot be oblivious of the means and really
Yeah.
be incisive in
So
science,
the lesson
because
is
otherwise you need sponsors. Yes.
the lesson is the one that Kiyosaki gave. He said, "Don't be a PhD, just go and sell."
Yeah,
Yeah.
just go insane. I love it. Yeah, no, he definitely was a genius. He in one of his conversations, he said when he was like 12 or 13 years old, he took rudimentary programming and programmed a solution to a major math problem. Everybody scoffed at him, and he's looking back now 30 years later and thinks he actually solved the problem. And if he could find that code, he'd know whether he did or not. And it frustrates him that he can't find that code, which is just amazing. And I put a link to his TED Talk. It's one of my favorite things to watch, where he talks about automata.
Mm.
A few simple rules create such beautiful complication. And I've got the PDF file in the link there too. So this is what,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for your moment.
He's the only scientist that came to debate this guy. There's a musician. I think he's a black guy who is a musician who came up with a pamphlet of 37 pages or some stuff. They were good ideas, but the fundamental ideas were wrong.
Or are you done? Manu?
Yes, I'm just saying Wolfram was the only one that
Yes,
came on air and then took the risk
yes,
and then dismantled that stuff.
yes. To place it in, are you done? Can I go ahead?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. To place it in the optics of our other book, talking about specialization and how academia protects its own territory and prevents others from doing that. Wolfram did exactly that. Wolfram, I mean, did exactly the went 90 degrees against that. That is, he took all those sciences and looked at them from an angle that's completely different and reformulated them in terms of relationships. Instead of using descriptive science, observe, make a definition, formulate a hypothesis, confirm it as a theory, and develop some mathematics around it in order to develop some predictions. He looked at it in a sense of relationship. He took the existing definitions, looked at it, okay, what linked this and that, and what happened in between all that, and he formulated his new kind of science. Mostly it's not a new kind of science. It's a new way of beaming a flashlight on science in order to see other things. Who's Ace Adventure that
That's
entered?
Anne. That's Anne coming in.
Ace Adventures. Okay. So we got
That is a school. That's a company or school, something like
hello,
that.
Anne.
Hello, hello. Hi, hello, Lee.
Oh, Anne, really, really, you are making me jealous.
Because
You
because
show
it's
up, you
nice and
show up,
hot.
you show up in a van with a background that is like I don't know from where, and you are like a pop star there, like Madonna in her heydays, coming into scene.
You.
Wow.
Unlike
You.
unlike Stephen Lee, you're in the front seat. Even your hair is in a.
Yeah, I got to ask you though, Manu, what mushroom are you are you taking? Thank you very much. I'm joking. Yeah. Yes, I'm glad to be able to join you for a little bit here, and yeah, carry on. And I will come in, but I need my ways working, so I'll probably be off screen as well. Okay. Yep.
All right. Thank you
Thank
for
you so
sharing
much.
your passion.
Okay. Are we ready to go back to the book, or are we in the middle of a discussion?
It's 34. Do we want to start a new chapter? I think we wait for next week.
I think
Let's
right
start.
away.
Let's just give a gist of the first paragraph of the chapter, and then we'll repeat it
Okay.
next week.
Okay, I give you the first paragraph. Chapter 2, computation, information, and I'm waiting for Steve to share his page.
I think this is it. And I just have to, oh no, it's over here. I don't know which one I've got. Let me open my screen and then I can go wherever I need to go. That's the Stephen Wolfram book right there. Okay, now I'm sharing my screen and I just got to find the book, and where I have it is in right here. Okay, good. Program in the Universe. There we go. We're at the bottom of page 21. We're going down. Here is chapter 2, and hopefully,
Chapter 2, computation, information. I began the initial meeting of my MIT graduate course on information in the manner I begin all of my courses. First, I said to the 20-odd students, first you ask questions and I'll try to answer them. Second, if you don't ask questions, I'll ask you questions. Third, if you don't answer my question, I'll tell you something I think you ought to know. Any questions? I waited.
all right. So look,
No.
this reminds me of a class that I took. I'm going to just interrupt. I took a class on transformational grammar and syntax back in 1966. And this was the time when Noam Chomsky was at his, I think he'd come out with his big revolutionary ideas on linguistics, and nothing was going anywhere. And the guy who was teaching the class was the dean of the linguistics department. And he walked into class, he said, and I'll tell you what, it was like linguistics 452 or something. So it was like for seniors and people who were crazy. So there I was, a crazy person. And he goes, look, I would say get this textbook and let's study the textbook. He says, but oh, and the idea of transformational grammar and syntax is you take a language, you break it up into rules, you attach a lexicon, you shove it into a computer. The computer remixes all the rules, comes up with a foreign language, matches it up, and then matches the lexicon so that you could translate any language into any language. That was the goal of transformational grammar and syntax. And he says, we're bankrupt. Nothing's working. So for me to teach out of one of these books is the stupidest thing I could do. He says, from now on, I'm going to put a sentence on the board, and then I'm going to wait, and you guys ask me questions because I don't know any answers, and I'll tell you the best I know, and you guys get to figure it out. And so he wrote up there, he said, he runs. And he sat down, put his feet up on his desk, and he opened up the school newspaper. And he was waiting for questions. And if nobody asked a question, we just sat there. And it was absolutely the most, I got an A+ in that class. It was my only A+ class. And of course, my school didn't register 4.4s, it only registered 4.0. And believe me, I needed that 0.4 of a point because I was doing philosophy and I got a D+ in philosophy. That 0.4 would have taken me over. But that was the most exciting class I ever took. It was all based on the students ask the professor questions and he tells them what's good about it, what's bad about it. We learned more. I learned more in that class than it was just amazing. So to hear this first paragraph is very exciting. I hope I didn't distract too much. I'll go back to sharing the paragraph, Fred.
Thank you, Steve. Well, okay. I will keep it for next week. This part, otherwise I have to restart from the top. It's okay.
He sums it up here. I waited and no response. And my teacher just sat there reading the school newspaper. It was so cool. Oh, and those seniors were so pissed off because they wanted to go in and learn things to say to get an A on the exam. They thought it was going to be an easy course because all they had to do was memorize shit. And there was nothing to memorize. You had to create the whole syntax. We created syntax out of nothing. It was cool. Okay, I'm relaxed now.
Thank you, Steve. Well, Steve, while you're still hot on your last comment, how are you feeling and what is your takeaway?
Okay, I'm feeling really, really good. I would like to have a session on dimensions, especially if it included fractals, Fred. So I'm open for that next week. I'll take it anytime, not next week. Well, you can ponder it.
Let's give me some time.
Okay.
I need to work on that.
All right. When you're ready, let me know, and I'll remind
I
you
think
as well.
I think we should do it on Wednesdays.
Oh, really?
Well, we can do it on Saturday.
Well, let's see if Wayne and Susan will.
Don't ask now. Don't ask now. We could do it on Saturdays, and if it works well, we could do it also on Wednesdays because I think it's important to
I think it's
share
important
that
too.
with everybody. So, but I need time. I need time, and I don't have that time right now to.
It's too bad Richard wasn't here to see your comment about how there are many dimensions in social studies and they're all irrelevant and stupid. I don't think you said exactly those words, but that's
No, I
what's
didn't say. I didn't say stupid. I said irrelevant. I said redundant. I said useless and redundant.
redundant. Yeah.
I said useless and redundant. And I see Anne is laughing.
Yeah. So I would love to have a conversation on dimensions. I love the conversation on Stephen Wolfram. I put in 2 links, including the book, by the way, but I put in his TED Talk, which I come back to a lot. He shows automata. He talks about the Ruliad. He talks about little tiny micro ons and offs that create absolute beautiful things and not so beautiful things as well. I love the idea that we're talking about the micro to the macro. And even though it seems to be flying the face of a little bit of Bucky who says start with the macro, which I tend to want to do. But I think it's really I think it's important to look at information deterministically, reductively, the way this is the classical approach. And I really like the book that we're reading and looking forward to it. So I also want to acknowledge that I started the call about 6 minutes beyond the appointed time. My computer was doing weird things. I had to reboot it twice. It's my old computer, and I'll see about getting over to my new computer as soon as possible. So I acknowledge my broken agreement there. I also want to acknowledge that it took me 3 days to get our Wednesday call out. And I've told you I committed to do those things within 24 hours. I might make it 48 hours. I'm going to still look at the 24-hour commitment and see if I can do that because I found it to be very helpful. And one more thing I would like to share is that in the email that I send out, that's the invitation, and I'm just going to share my screen and show you this. Here it is. And so we go into the email.
Not there.
It will be there. Okay. That should be it. Gmail is slowly opening. Can you see my Gmail?
Not there.
Okay, good. Here's the invitation. Hang on, I'm going to show you the invitation because I think this is really important. As I told you guys before, I have a way to look at the transcripts of our phone calls. Let me see here. Invitation. I hate the way Google works. This drives me crazy. All right, so here's the invitation that actually went out. At the end of the deal, I list these. Okay, this isn't even the current. This isn't the current invitation, but I list documents that are included that are linked in the deal. Is this the most current one? Yes, this is it. If you look down here, there's a chat. The chat for this meeting is here. Then there's a verbatim Zoom transcript. The text file is very difficult to read. And so what I've done is I stuck it in Excel, and the text file is not difficult to read. It's just goofy. Oh, that's the chat. Hang on. Here's the transcript. The transcript looks like this. It looks like there's a segment 1, and then a timestamp segment 2, and they're just tiny little bits of it. It's the way it throws it out. So what I've done is I put it in an Excel file, and I stripped some of the crap out and compressed it a little bit. So here's what it looks like when you get it. If you want to get to the transcript, it's still in small segments, and it still has redundant, like who's speaking every segment, but at least you can go down through relative to the timestamp in an Excel spreadsheet, and you can see, like, here's Wayne doing the opening, and then you can go down. And what I've done several times is I go down to where I start one of my rants, and then like here's my rant on Pareto distribution. So all of these things here have to do with Pareto distribution. And at least it makes it identifiable. And as long as you can run a spreadsheet, you can get access to the information. And of course, like if I could come over here and say, well, I want to know when I talked about Pareto distribution. So I go like that. Here's Pareto. And because it's a search through, I think I did it wrong. Pareto, I have to spell it right. No, it is Pareto. P-R-A-E-T-O, Pareto. Why didn't it find it really fast? It's supposed to find the next. There we go. It's in that line. I see it was up here in this line, and here it is in this line. There's Pareto distribution. So at least you can go through, and if you want to, you can take this and paste it into a Word document or a word processor or a notepad, and it'll strip out all of the cells and everything and at least allow you to get to the text. And I'm committed to submitting this thing with this file with every invitation. So you have the chat for the meeting, you have the Zoom verbatim transcript in the text file and in the Excel spreadsheet. I am still working on getting the AI summaries. Fred, do you get AI summaries of every meeting delivered to you?
I get AI summaries of every meetings. I start with my own account,
I see.
but I do not get any AI summary from the meeting that you are
Yeah.
managing from your account.
Okay,
You
good.
need to, the way I did that, I spent 15 minutes with customer service. They were very helpful. It's quite complicated to navigate all the menus of the possibilities. The AI summary is definitely much more useful than the full transcript.
I agree.
It doesn't give timestamps, but it gives paragraphs of the topics discussed in sequence.
Yeah.
It's not fully, I'd say it's 80% accurate. Sometimes it's mentioned that we discussed about stuff that we never heard about, and any of us,
Right.
because it misunderstood something, but it doesn't matter. At least
Yeah.
it gives you a sequence of what happened. And this allows to find back the moment in the recording quite easily if you ever wanted to do that. I wanted to ask, does anybody ever uses a full transcript of a 2 hours video? That's
I
a
use them.
question. You do?
Yeah, I use them if we have a topic that's relevant. I will use the transcript to go back and see what somebody said. Yeah.
Okay.
But then I
Okay.
do,
I would not. I would go back to listen to what somebody said, but I would not use a transcript. But maybe that's
just
one way.
the
I
trouble.
think if we had the AI summary, that would be a lot more useful. But
I
maybe we
think
need
both are, I think
maybe
both
we
are
need
helpful.
maybe we
Because
need both.
what?
I said maybe we need both.
Yeah. What I found out is if I go back to listen to that meeting, I can't sit there for 2 hours. I want to get to the part that's the relevant part, and I think the AI summary would help, and the transcript would help, either one. So I'll do better on the Zoom. I'm going to do what I can. I'll go with customer service and see what I can do, because it asked me if I want to turn on AI, and I turn on the AI, but I don't get the summary, and that pisses me off. Also, I have to do.
You need to talk to the customer service.
I will.
Now,
And
regarding the full transcript, you're probably better off to copy paste it into Notepad on Windows than Excel. The
I'll
reason
be
is
happy to. I'll
the
be.
reason is that Notepad creates text. You need to save it as a text, the TXT
I know it.
extension.
Yeah.
And once you have that, you can manipulate it using any sort of software you want. Manipulating Excel sheets with software, it's difficult. It's
Well,
not fun.
thank you for the compliment. Um, because I'm an intermediate user in Excel, I can make it do almost anything, and it's kind of exciting. But no, I agree with you. So maybe I'll drop it into. I can put it in a notepad, and then you can drop the notepad into Excel if you find it advantageous. All right, from now on, I'll put it into Notepad. Okay.
Or you can try to. Why don't you do that? You do it once in Notepad as a text, as the TXT extension. You send it to me, and I see if I can process it, and you'll tell me what you
All
think.
right, good. I'll do that right now before I go retire. I'll get that out to you so you can work on it the next couple of days. And let me know what's going on.
Yeah.
And still, I want to apologize to Manu because when these archives are, and really they're ready, it's just I have to sit down and make sure. Here's my problem. I've looked at I looked at it by year, which year are we operating, but I've also looked at it by what book are we reading. And on one part of me says, well, here's 2000, here's 2024, here's 2025, here's 2023, except we chop the books up. So it dawns on me that we might want to go book from beginning to end of the book, whatever the dates are. That seems to make sense. Do you guys agree with me there? That if you had an archive by book, it would be good. All right, I'm going to do it by book. That's been every time I sit down, I go, what the hell? So I will fix that. Okay, good. I'll get the archives out by book, and then I'll put it a standard link at the bottom of every email. You can get to the archive. So if you get to the invitation email from the Google Calendar, you have links to everything in one email. You don't have to go searching for stuff, Manu. That's the way it'll happen. Just give me some time to get there. Okay. Thank you very much.
Why are we talking about this email? Why does it still say in the first? There we go here. Continuing our reading and discussion of the critical path beginning at 371, 1932. Is that useful?
I think it's focused on a book. What would be more useful? What would be more useful?
it's
I think
continuing our reading of and discussion of the critical path, beginning at 371.
I don't know what you're reading. I'm sharing it.
I'm reading I'm reading the second line in black of your email.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, that I got to take that out. Thank you. That's just,
I would suggest that.
thank you very much. I will take that out.
And the second thing I would say is when you send an attachment, a document attached, can
Yeah.
you send it as an attachment, not as a link to your
It is
hard drive?
sent as an attachment to this
No,
email.
it's a link to your hard drive.
If you look at the invitation, you'll find this this is the actual document on here. Is the graphic. And so I'm providing both the link to the Google Doc and the document is attached in the email. I'll double check that. Tell me if I'm wrong. But I'm actually, let me see.
Okay, if you do it, that's fine. But this week you sent me an email saying, "Have you seen this attachment?" And I had not seen it because it did not appear as an attachment. It appeared as a link to your hard drive.
Okay, I'll see what I can do about attaching the link to the Google Drive and the actual document.
If it's not too much trouble.
No, it isn't too much trouble because I want to make it pertinent. And I feel like I do a lot of work on these things and nobody sees them and nobody benefits from them. So
Yes.
I'm doing a lot of work and nobody notices it, So I want to make these as relevant as possible. Thank you for your feedback. And if any of you get any ideas, let me know.
And last but not least, I see that you're indeed spending a lot of time to do that. I would like to propose you, if you wanted to spend a little bit of time with me on Zoom, just a one-on-one, you and me, and look at your work process to do these things, and maybe there's some streamlining that we could figure out together and make it more efficient and more useful for everybody, maybe.
Okay. I'm glad to do that, even though I think I'm pretty good. I'd love the feedback. So let me follow up with the couple things I've got now, and let's schedule that. Probably
Okay.
about this time of the day someday, right? So it'd be 9 o'clock my time and whatever that is for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right,
That
good.
would be fine. Yes.
Good. We'll work on that and we'll either talk this week or next.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Any other comments or questions about all this stuff? Okay, good. I'm complete. All right, so that's how I'm feeling. That's what I'm doing. I'm certainly glad to see Anne was able to show up. And Joe was going to be traveling, and so he wasn't going to make it here today. So, Anne, I know, well, you can go last. Anne, Lee, how are you feeling? And what did you get from tonight? And then
Finally. I lost my blood sugar. I went down to 55 and lower, and I got so confused with everything that was being said. That is my problem. I should have realized that I was dropping because it was getting so confusing. Though I do remember that Fred said that our children could not be smarter than us. I can prove to you that I've got two sons that are far superior than me, and I produced them. So how do you explain that, Fred? I also want to expand on help more than what you were talking about, Manu. You became so far over my head in all that you were saying. Now, mind you, my blood sugar was dropping. It was crashing really fast. So that made it difficult. But you tend to expand to the point where I can't understand anything that you're saying. So maybe become normal instead of a scientist. Both you and Fred can overwhelm me. I enjoy listening to you, and I have question marks all above my head throughout all of it. I'm praying that I become more and more capable of the understanding of all your science. It fascinates me, and I want to continue, always. Now, Manu, how do you feel? And what have you gotten out of today?
I feel good. Lee, and thank you. You are very wise. And you have that, what I always say, excuse me, word superior female self-consciousness of the environment. It is very important. What I would like to take away is the quiz that I want to give you. I want you to demonstrate to me that what I shared today, this and this, is an octahedron. This, I've added to what we had before, the boundary, as a dash close line. And I added this derivation here. So demonstrate to me that this set, this subset, and that subset is an octahedron.
Yes.
I want to leave it to you to kind of quiz, titillate a little bit your mind. If Steve want to take this, he can take one. You already have this, Steve.
I already have that, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And then this one
And
has been
that
modified
one.
a little bit
Yes.
to consider these two.
Okay, hold that one up higher. Okay, I've got it. Bam.
Okay, so my quiz to you is, with all the variances, notice that if it's hash or if it is dotted, there is some change. And always have in mind the seen and unseen. Seen and unseen, always coexisting. And try to make a link to show that this set together is an octahedron.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, Steve, eaten octahedron by the tetrahedron. Eh? You remember that?
Huh? Oh.
You remember, Steve, showing us the 4 stellating tetrahedra eating, having inside them, he opens them like that and they close into the octahedron. So octahedron as the unseen heart of a matter here. That's my quiz to you. It is very expanded. It is testing those boundaries, but hey, it can be interesting in terms of quiz. Right, I'm true. Thank you. Otherwise, I'm humble. Anne, how do you feel? What state are you? What do you take away?
Okay, I'm glad to be here for sure. And actually, I came in also just to see where you ended, because I want to make sure this time around I want to read and keep up with actually 2 weeks now that I have missed, and so I want to keep up with it. And yes, Steve, I will be looking at your notes. Okay, all right. Just want to put it out there. Thank you very much though for all you've done for us all these years now, yeah. And yes. So Fred have been, right? Fred, you've been? Oh,
No, I have not. I have not.
okay. Yes. So, Fred, how do you feel and what is your takeaway? Maybe before I go on, just let you know, this morning, the talk with the parents, I was able to talk about Paki. So I just want to put it out there. Yeah, because is designing the future for the 100% of humanity. I also talked to them about the dome. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. So, Fred, how do you feel and what's your takeaway today? Sorry about that.
Thank you, Anne. I'm feeling pretty good. We've done chapter 1. We started chapter 2, just one paragraph, but it started. And it's all moving along pretty well. I think this book explains things step by step pretty well. It's a simple concept which are going to grow into larger and more complex concepts. But I believe we'll all gain a much better understanding of what celluloid means and what the universe really is all about. So my takeaway is performing simple operations on a few bits at a time. This is local, micro to macro, emergent, and quid of starting with the universe if every computation is local, micro to macro. Where does this idea of starting with the universe comes from? So that's my takeaway. Thank you all, and see you Wednesday and next week.
On time, Steve. That's cool.